Before we get into the show, a quick word from our sponsor. Today's episode is presented by Early Bird. Early Bird is the simplest way for parents, family, and friends to collectively invest in a child's financial future, starting at the earliest age. Early Bird's mobile app empowers parents and families to start saving for their child's financial future in a matter of minutes while activating a child's broader community to gift contributions on birthdays, holidays, or any occasion. We sometimes wait until we are adults to start learning about financial literacy, but being able to invest into a child's future now will set them up for financial success beyond belief. Let's go ahead and start breaking some generational habits of just being financially ruined by the time we make it to the cemetery. Take a Safe Podcast is teaming up with Early Bird to give our listeners a free $15 investment to give to a child you love. Simply go to partners.getearlybird.io/podcast or just click the link in the bio. Download the app, create an account today. Early Bird will build the nest and invest in the children you love. Thank you, Early Bird, for sponsoring today's episode. Now let's jump into the show. Which accent do you most enjoy listening to?
Oh my gosh. I can't say that I've heard a ton of accents. I guess British. I mean, any accent sounds good to me, especially I do know. I like Southern accents because I'm from the North. So when I got here in Atlanta, like being from Minnesota, and everybody had like this Southern draw kind of thing, I was very impressed. I was like, I don't know half the words you said, but it sounds so good. So I guess that anything that's not like up north Minnesota.
It's always the accents that are different or like the polar opposite of ours that we're just like, yes. Those.
When you talk, it just like takes me out of like whatever I'm doing and where I'm at. Like, oh, what did you say? Oh, I didn't hear anything you said. It sounds so nice.
I heard the sounds, not the words. So if
not
you can just go ahead and talk to me again and then just write it down so I can read it because I'm not going to hear you.
Say it slower next time. What about you?
Irish has always been an accent that I have really, really liked.
Like Conor McGregor. It's the only person I could think of.
There are so many different Irish accents, just like in the States, how we have like West Coast and East Coast and up north and down south and Midwest, and listening to the faster talking Irish accent. I don't know why.
You got to give me a person that I can like go look up on IG that would be like, ooh.
Actually, I'm trying to think. I did an episode with Awfully Irish, Tom and Jared. Shout out to y'all. And a lot of some of their content they do have when they have on Irish comics and stuff like that and Irish actors. Like, yes, those are the. I'm just like,
maybe Australian. Yes. Too, like I feel like I really have enjoyed. I want to go to Australia so bad, like I'm dying to go. So I think I'd like that too.
So the Hemsworth brothers, and actually, Matty C. I just recorded with him too, and he has his accent. I was like, yes, keep talking to me. Yes, this is a great conversation. This is
all
awesome.
Day. Yes. I'm sorry that I'm not going to give you any accents. It's going to make you want to talk more. I got what I got, and I'm going to go with it. Listen. I don't have no accents to give, okay? That's what I got. I don't know what this accent is. It's like half Midwest, half Southern, half nothing. So, it's what I got.
Yeah, my accent is all over the place, too. So I'm not even, listen, you just get what you get, and that's it.
Right, you're welcome.
Well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take a Safe Podcast. I'm your host, Leah, joined this week by Danielle of Crime and Roses podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Can you tell the people a little bit about your show?
So Crime and Roses is a Bachelor franchise recap podcast. So we watch The Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise and Bachelorette and everything that they throw at us. And then we also connected to a true crime story for the week. And then we tell those stories as well. We're both attorneys here in Georgia, and we're working together at a job, and we're chatting about probably John Bonet, and then started talking about The Bachelor, and started like going to this like downtown Atlanta bar that actually played The Bachelor on the big screen, like football games. So it was just literally this wall of like Pilot Pete's like face, and we were watching it, and there was like beer and food. It was amazing. And so I was like, do you want to do a podcast together? And she was like, yeah. And her boyfriend is actually like into studio and things like that. And so she already had all the equipment. Then COVID happened. So we never actually have recorded a episode together. We've done it all virtually, and we've been doing it. We just hit a year in March. So, and then we basically just, thank you. We really, really like true crime and just the stories and really highlighting the victims. And we use The Bachelor just to connect it briefly, but we really just love talking about two very different topics and have found this community of people who like to listen to it.
That's awesome. And it's really cool because I think that you started a little bit before you started a few months before I did. And once we started, you all were one of the first people, one of the first podcast hosts to actually reach out and support and share and rate and all that kind of stuff, give feedback. So that was really cool. So
we've connected for a long time. So I've really been excited to like see you guys grow, and you know, the different guests and topics. It's been really fun. It's like just like admiring from afar.
Yeah. Internet friends. That's what it's about.
Yes, we are internet friends for sure.
Yes, I love it. Well, speaking of the internet is going to do what the internet is going to do. Mm-hmm. And we seen plastered everywhere opinions this way and that way about, you know, Simone Biles making the decision to withdraw from the Olympics. And I mean, there are people who are so angry because she's an athlete and should perform, and that's her only job, and that's what she should do. But then we see this human side where people are just like, hey, she's a person. Like, she's been doing this since she was a kid. Like, let's understand that putting people maybe under these high pressure situations is probably not the best thing to do. So what is your take on Simone Biles withdrawing from the Olympics?
You know, I think that it's really something courageous to do. And I think that like in my own life, when there's like difficulties, you know, she grew up and had a really tough, you know, upbringing. You know, she's adopted. I was listening to a podcast, The Daily, that kind of recapped her life and how she just sprung up on this stage so quickly and was so good and like thrust into the limelight and has been expected to perform these very incredible things and then not getting credit for the incredible things that she can do. Then, you know, you have the whole entire scandal with, you know, the medical person that they had there who, you know, molested a lot of women as well. So then like that's something that she had to deal with, and being in the limelight, the Nassir case. So like for me personally, I think it's so courageous because in our own lives, like it's a bad look to like take a step back and to, you know, work on your mental health, and like you feel like you can't stop. You're like, I got to go to work. I got to take care of the kids and I got to do all this stuff.
Exactly.
And she was like, no, like I think personally, they talked about it being like something called like the twisties, where like she was always very good at being able to orient herself and know where her body is, even if she's flipping upside down. And even before the Olympics, she was struggling in that. So not only, I mean, we want to see her grow up and like grow old. So at the end of the day, it's like, she's like, I'm not going to perform well and I'm going to hurt myself and I could potentially hurt others. And I think the biggest part that was just so amazing in her leadership was still cheering them on, like still being there and being like, I'm going to cheer for you and encourage you and run around and help you, like, you know, live your dreams. So I think it was really encouraging. I think we all can take a moment in our lives where it's like when we're really at our brink and decide to like not crumble and fall apart, but take a step back in the ways that we need to in order to like do better and be able to like progress and grow, because she's not going to do well, and she'll just, if she goes and competes and she completely like messes up, that's what she'll be known for.
Right.
So why not be known for like, I'm going to take care of like my mental health and do what I need to do for me.
That is a very important thing that a lot of us, well, I will say that it's a luxury to have that opportunity to say that I need to take a step back and I'm going to do so. Because a lot of us, like you said, taking care of the kids, taking care of the house, going to work, making sure that I make sure that my world doesn't fall apart if I'm away for a couple of weeks or a few days or however long it takes for me to recoup. But a lot of people don't understand the importance of being there for yourself.
Yeah.
And when you could recognize, hey, this is destructive behavior, you're just kind of putting a Band-Aid on it and hoping that you don't break your neck the next time it happens. I'm really proud of Simone Biles for owning where she is and stating what she needs and then taking steps to do that. Because even if we're not talking about on the Olympic stage, if we're talking about in a regular everyday person's life who just wakes up to if I can just make it to work, if I can just make it back home, if I can just not yell at the kids, if I can just avoid this confrontation, if I can just do these things, wherever it is that you're serving, if you don't take that time, that mental break to figure out what's going on and why some things may be triggering, some things may be feeling like they're breaking down, maybe you're getting sick and you just don't know it, or you don't realize like how things are physically affecting you and mentally affecting you, then you really should have a good group, a good circle around you that's going to support you to say, hey, look, you should probably step back. It's okay. Like, we got this. We'll help you. But if you don't have a good circle, then it's going to be hard for you to take a step back. But what I wanted to ask is more so this idea of being an athlete and you are supposed to perform, or being in whatever capacity and you're just supposed to do it. Where do you think that line is drawn between, like, yes, this is my job, but I'm also human?
I mean, I think it's constant, like, that is her job. Like, that's her job. And can't we all get a sick day? Like, we all call in sick? Like, being an attorney, I know that there's really big things that I need to get done in my day, but like, if I'm sick, then I'm sick. And I think we need to kind of think of mental health as the same way. Like, that's what I think somebody told me that like a long time ago, that, mental health and therapy and counseling and all that is like the pill for what ails you. Like, if you have a heart condition, you don't not take your medicine. So that's the same thing that goes along with it. So if you're like, hey, I'm having an issue with my heart, I need a sick day. Why can't we say I'm having an issue with my health, I need a sick day? And I think being at the largest stage in the world, and then talking about, everything that happened with George Floyd in my home city around the corner from where, my family still lives. I grew up in that area. I grew up going to Cup Foods. I lived around the area, caught that bus on that corner to get to the Mall of America to work. Like, that's where I'm from. So like, dealing with that, dealing with COVID, how COVID has like stopped and postponed the Olympics, everything that she did with being, I wouldn't say sexual assault, but that she's a survivor of sexual abuse. That's a lot. Like, that is a lot. And as Black women specifically, I think we take on literally the world. And so I think what it's taught me specifically is, like, even in my job, I have to look out for number one, which is myself. And I have to be willing and ready, even at those big critical moments, to take a step back. And it's going to be fine. Even if you have no one in your circle, you have to like focus on yourself and just make those determinations. If we are so willing, I saw a tweet that was like, if we're so willing to give excuses to mass shooters, mass murderers, and say, oh, but their mental health, we can't give her that same grace and say, well, her mental health. I mean, you've murdered people, and we're like, oh no, but he had mental health issues.
Hey.
Okay. So it's the same thing. So I just am, I think that she is unapologetic about it. She's not cowering. She's not in a corner. She's like, I had to take a step back. That doesn't mean I can't be on social media or, support my friend group and these people that I've trained with who I call my friends. So I just think there's a lot of lessons that can be learned. And just because it's your job, I don't care. I mean, I'm sure even if I was the president of the United States, I'd be like, you know what? I'm a call in sick because I gotta go focus on me. And that gets to be okay. You can be whoever you are. Like nothing, that's the thing. Nothing is going to crumble. We think that it is, and it's not. Right. It'll be fine. Tomorrow is just another day.
So, and I'm glad that you mentioned this because there's this whole trope of the strong Black woman. We're supposed to be so strong and unbreakable and willing to fix and take on the entire world and break our backs to make sure that everyone else is okay. How does that play into your life specifically?
Oh man, that's deep. I mean, I was a single parent when I, had my son. I was a single parent in college. So I was a sophomore in college, found out I was pregnant, just wanted to keep the baby, finished college, started law school with a toddler, finished there. I actually took the bar 5 times. So there's this like piece of like just being tenacious, not giving up. I feel like it's in our DNA. Mm-hmm. I feel like our ancestors have just been like, nah, hell nah. So, I mean, who am I to be like, oh, like I gotta quit? But I also think that as Black women, we do need to take care of our mental health even more because we are not supposed to cry. We're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to do everything. It's like, we're supposed to be Superwoman. And then we are not really taking care of ourselves the best way that we can, Right, but I think in my daily life, I'm just so strong in being a lawyer and the work that I do. I may be crying in the car, but I'm like, gotta suck it up, Danielle. We got things to do, so, and then you go in there and you do it. And people, my friends or people who I work with, they might be like, oh my gosh, you sounded so good with like, what you did in court. And then I'm like, did I? Because I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I'm glad it sounded convincing because I don't know what I'm doing. Like that imposter syndrome and just like, it's difficult. I just think that there is just, since the dawn of time, we raised those children, of the slave as captors, and slave owners used us, and we had to be strong and we had to do this and that. And then we're thrust into situations. We can't be too aggressive. We can't be too loud. We have to be fragile. We can't be too fragile. Like, even these, when I was in undergrad, I did a whole entire undergrad study about Black women and specifically talking about like the Black Panther movement, because there was a very big like divide between Black women supporting themselves and feminism, mm-hmm. and then also supporting the Black Panther movement and supporting men. So like even a lot of women who were like in domestic abusive situations or things like that, Bell Hooks talked about it, Angela Davis talked about it, like being in these situations where they had to choose, am I Black or am I a woman? And so being a woman, I think, puts you at a lower totem pole. And then being a Black woman really puts you even lower. So we're constantly like fighting and struggling and like moving forward. And I think we're moving forward by leaps and bounds, but like it's a for real struggle on a daily basis to be out here and to be a Black woman in this country. I think so.
So how do you, well, first, let me ask you, do you feel beholden to the ideal of what it is to be a Black woman, to be superhero strong and to make sure that anything that you touch has to turn to gold, or, making sure that you are the cleanup woman, making sure that oh, don't worry, Danielle's got it, or I'll take care of you, or all that. Do you feel like you have to live up to that? And then how do you walk that line?
I definitely feel in my personal life, because I'm a very strong person too.
Mm-hmm.
Even with my family, like I'm the one who's like gonna get it done. I'm the one who's gonna figure it out. My son's playing baseball, and I'm not kidding you. I'm on the phone like, what this team wants my son to play, and this team wants him to play, and where are we going, and how much does it cost? And I'm like literally turning into this like momager. It's insane. Just call me, Kris Jenner. But yeah, there is a part of me that is very fragile and soft, and there's only a few people who get to see that. And I think that there is like this thing that we try to live up to in regards to being strong and caring, and just, I'm going to clean up everything. I am like one of the hardest working people that I know. Like I will be there early, I stay late, I'll get it done. But I'm really working on focusing on being loyal to myself. That's my
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing. Am I being loyal to me? What does Danielle need? What do I need to progress in my personal, professional life? What do I need? And it's that Simone Biles of like, today I just need a sick day. Today I need 3 days off of work. Today I just need to, do something different and just not show up in a certain way. And trying to do maintenance, because I keep telling people I'm the bus driver. And if I have no gas, I can't get anyone where they need to go. My
Mm-hmm.
family, my friends, people at work. So for me, I have got to do maintenance on the bus. I've got to fill up the tank in order to say, come on aboard. And I can't help you. Like if you broke down on the side of the bus, side of the street waiting on me, and I ain't got no gas and the oil ain't been changed, we both screwed.
I wave to you down the
So
street. Yes, me too. I'm stuck too.
hey,
Yeah,
you stuck,
listen.
I'm stuck, we ain't got it. So yeah, we got to work better on just the maintenance. We got to get the oil changes. We got to get the bus up and running so that we can bring our people, across that finish line again where they need to go. But if I don't take care of myself, how am I going to be a good mom? How am I going to be a good wife? So I think that there is a standard. I think that the burden is high for Black women. I think that it's set very high, and there's expectations of us that are societal that we put on ourselves. And I think that we need to continue to support each other more, and just basically be like, me and my friend Kelsey are constantly like, hey, you doing a good job, girl. Like you doing it. And she'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Girl, you got there today. You did it. We
Right.
have, I got up and I went to work. That's a big deal. I
Listen,
finished the day and I didn't leave out that thing at lunch and never come back. I mean, you gotta take them little wins. It's had little wins at a time, child. That's all we got.
that's it. And it's crazy to me that it took so long for me to realize that like you stated, the loyalty that I have to myself is the most important loyalty that I can have. Like even greater than, just loving myself, respecting myself and being loyal to myself, and realizing what it is that I need, so that I'm not just filling up on the stuff that I want and hoping that that fixes it.
Yeah.
If I'm like, well, I need I need to be around my family, or I need to be away from everyone, or I need to have a project to work on, or I really want to finish this thing, but in order for me to get there, I probably need to take a few days away from the project because
Right.
it's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
So being more in tune with who I am, what I want, allows me to take better care of myself.
Right.
And it helps me in communicating those things to other people. And one of the things, especially in these last couple of years, that I have learned is sometimes I have felt the need to be the idealistic, strong Black woman. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just have to be. They,
Mm-hmm.
especially in corporate, they expect you to speak up. They expect you to fix a thing. They expect you to do this. They expect you to do that. And if you can do this and make them money, then they'll give you like a pat on the back or a shout out or whatever. And it's like, no, give me more money, give me a title, give me this, give me that.
Exactly.
Like, give me the same thing you would give Brad. If you
What
would
is Brad
only
getting? Let
right.
me see what he getting and let me see.
Right.
Somebody told me years ago, and it was the best advice I ever got. I had this woman, her name was Claire, and she told me, does the organization feed your goals? what are your goals? And is that organization feeding into that? And the minute that it's not, it's time to go. So like, is it money? Is it the title? Is it this? Is it that? Whenever the organization has given, like, you're like, I look and here are my goals. Is this organization meeting my goals? And then if not, it's time to go. So and you should always be reevaluating those goals. So that's absolutely right. I mean, it's like, it's not a comparison thing too. But we always have to be in checks and balances with ourselves. And I have to be loyal to me. And what does loyal to me look like? That looks like putting myself first and not sacrificing for, like, I can't, this days of us being loyal and working 40 years for one company is not a thing. They have to give to us, and we have to get and give. It's a two-way street. You pay me for the work that I do. So it's not loyalty anymore, because they are going to, especially in corporate, they'll be like, I'm about money. Can you make me money? If your goal is not to like make $1 million, then what is it? So at the end of the day, the goals have to align. And that's something she taught me. And I actually left that job like 6 months after she told me, like, you know, make that evaluation. I picked all my goals out and said, these are the things that I want to accomplish. And I realized my organization did not benefit those goals anymore. And I left, and I never looked back. It was hard. I mean, it's hard to like remove yourself from that thing. But I think, you know, we're supposed to be so strong in all of these things. And I think that we need to kind of let that go and show up the way that we need to show up. And I think it's good for our like kids too. Like my son, like we were having this conversation, he was being really moody and was kind of being a dick at like while we were playing this video game. And I was like, do you just want to go to bed? He's like, I'm not tired. And then today I was like, what was your deal yesterday? And he's like, yeah, I think I was tired. Like and I said, sometimes you just have to be like, I think I'm tired, and I think I'm just going to shut the game off. Like we have to be able to like teach them to see those things. I want him to see me as soft, but I also want him to see me as like getting the job done too. But I also want him to see me cry and be like, that's okay too. So, and I feel like I really hid my emotions. Like I'd cry and he'd come in the room. I'd be like, what's up?
Yeah, what's happening with you? Yeah,
everything's good. But why don't we show vulnerability and emotion, and that, you know, sometimes it's okay to be upset. But like, I'm trying to work on it not always being a complete meltdown. I'm trying to be like, I could feel it, because you feel it coming. Simone Biles knew it was like, things aren't going well. I'm getting really stressed. Like you feel it coming, and then you think pushing through is going to be the answer. And sometimes it is. And sometimes it really just isn't.
Right. Because sometimes that pain needs an outlet. Like you can't just work it away, wish it away, or hope that, you know, if I swallow deep down enough, it will just stay down. Sometimes it needs to come out. But to kind of avoid those meltdowns is just be able to, you know, spring a leak here or there and make sure that, you know, you have that outlet.
You might have duct tape. You might be duct taping the leak temporarily. You might be not fixing. Sometimes you may fix the pipe and get the plumber, like, you know, good therapist, and like fix the issue. Sometimes you just put the little duct tape on.
And that's all it is.
It gets to be both. It gets to work out that way.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up the upbringing. I was talking with my sister about this, and it's really interesting. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our upbringing, and sometimes we don't even recognize it. Like, why do we do these things? Oh, my parents did them. Oh, wow. Like, well, does that mean that I need to do them? Like, even in Space Jam, when he was like, you think when I was 12, I got to just have fun? And it's like, but is that the legacy you want to pass on? Like when you're a preteen, like before you actually have to be an adult, you can't have fun. So at what point in life are you expected to have fun? So
child, we don't know what we're doing. My mom would tell me all the time, if you sit on Oprah's couch, what are you going to tell her about what I did to you growing up? And I was like, what? But like, think about it. It's like, what would you tell Oprah about your childhood and your parents and growing up? And she would always ask me that. So I constantly am thinking, is this the thing my son's going to go on Oprah and be like, this is the defining moment where my mom ruined me? Like, I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
We're all just out here trying to figure it out. And, you know, I think that we, as parents, I mean, again, I was trying to learn to be an adult myself. You know, like I was 21 and having a kid. And so now that I'm like 35, I'm dealing with, like, my son is 13 and he's having this independence. And I'm like, what do I like? That's how the podcast started. I was like, what am I into? Okay, I like true crime and I like The Bachelor. Like, I've never had a hobby. I went from being 18 in school, like maybe playing sports. I played lots of sports. I played softball, basketball, volleyball, anything you think of. Went to college, got pregnant, and then became a mom. Like, that was my job. So for the last 13 years, I have been like, I'm a mom. Okay, so then what else am I? What do I like? Who am I? So it's this like midlife crisis of like, who am I? Who am I besides these titles of attorney and mom and wife? Like, who is Danielle? And like figuring that out. Can I cuss on this podcast? You let me know.
Yeah, I'll bleep it out. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I will try to tame it. But no, but I'm really, that's where I'm at right now, is trying to figure out who is Danielle? What does she like? What is she about? And then just making sure that I'm being loyal to myself in those things.
Well, growing in that self-awareness, and we've talked about it a lot on the show, growing in that self-awareness, sometimes you have to shed the titles that you think make your identity. Sometimes we get caught up with, our identity is wrapped up in our job or our kids or our parents or our siblings or our husband or wife. Like, we think that our titles are what identifies us, is what makes us. And that shouldn't be the case. But I know a lot of people are wrapped up in that, where you introduce yourself and it's like, oh, so what do you do? Or who are you? And asking someone who they are, they're like, well, I work down at, the farmer's market and I do this thing. And it's like, no, but who are you?
Oh, yeah. And attorneys do it all the time. Like, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm an attorney. And it's what gives you worth. What do you find to be worthy? And that's what Simone Biles was talking about. She was like, I am learning to find my worth is not just being an Olympic athlete and a gymnast. So we all have to be like, what gives, I know some people who walk up and be like, hi, I'm Timmy's mom. Yeah, number 12 out there. And she like walks around with the big button and it has Timmy's face. And, she's like, Timmy's mom on the back of her shirt. That's what she finds like gives her worth, is the fact that she's a mom. Or it might be like a myriad of things, but I agree with you. And you shed the things that you think really give you worth and you get down there. And my mom has always really said that, the work is hard. Like, we think about healing and you're like, oh, I'm going to journal and I'm going to like, sit in the sun and I'm going to like knit a hat or some stuff like that. And no, it's tears. It's crying. It's that's what growth is. Growth is painful as hell.
Oh, if somebody were to tell me that before I even started growing in self-awareness, how painful it would be to shed my former self, and how many layers of shedding I would have to go through. Because when I hit it, I'm just like, when I shed, I'm like, oh, great. Like, okay, my eyes are puffy. I have no more tears to cry. I am now dehydrated. I have a headache. I'm taking a nap. I wake up and then I realize there's another layer there. Dang, now we got to do this all over again. And
sometimes you shed layers in people. Like, you grow and then you don't have friends anymore.
Yes.
And your whole friend group has changed. I've been able to be very, very blessed in having a small friend group that I've known. Like, my best friend, I've known her since I was in 4th grade.
Oh, wow.
But we've been able, and your partner, I'm hoping that my husband sticks around that long. Now, I do act a fool now. But, at the end of the day, when you're trying to shed and you're trying to grow and things are painful, even in my growth, I've pushed my husband away. Like, I got to figure my stuff out and whatever. And he's like, I'm here to do your thing. I met him when I was trying to study for the bar after law school. And I moved to Atlanta on a whim. I'd gone to school in North Dakota and I moved to Atlanta. I didn't want to be in North Dakota anymore.
That is a wild change.
Yeah.
Goodness.
But yeah, I moved here and I was like, I'm just going to give it a try and like see how it goes. And I met him and I was like, I am a single mom. I am trying to like become a lawyer. I don't have time. I don't have movie dates. I don't have anything. He's like, oh, I'll be here and I'll be along for the ride. And thankfully he was, but like, you really do. You accumulate people in your life that are a part of your growth. You shed people. That's what I've really learned. It's about, some people when they, you hate it when, like, Granny be like, everybody ain't here for the season, and all this stuff.
Yeah, the season and the reason of the lifetime. You gotta pick which bucket are they gonna go into?
And you'd be like, okay, I got it. And then now you like recite it as you get older. And like, everything is for a season. Like, that may be my bestie who we chat with all the time, but like, that doesn't mean it's always going to be there. And as I'm growing, hopefully they're a part of that new layer, but sometimes they're not. And that's all right.
I've learned to be okay with that. I mean, it's difficult even now for me to make real friends. I'm a good coworker friend. Yeah. I'm a great internet friend. I'm a great coworker friend.
I can vouch for it. You are a great internet friend.
I don't have to check on you every day. I get to support you when you are doing well, check in on you every now and then. Hey, so how are things going? This episode was great. I like the direction that you're going in. This is awesome. But having to establish new relationships and friendships, sometimes it can be rather daunting. But
where do you meet people? Where do you meet people when you're an adult to go hang out and be friends with?
Listen,
it's hard.
Every situation that we've been in where we've met friends, we've always been in forced situations, whether it be school, church, work, or an event. And we're all forced into this space, and then you find somebody who you have something in common with, and like, listen, we've gone through this thing together. Let's stay connected. Cool.
I think that's exactly, if I can like attach it to The Bachelor, that's perfect. Because they're in this bubble, right? Mm-hmm. You're in this like weeks bubble. You're on this television show. You've never met, possibly you've never met, you go on this show and you have this experience that's very unique in its own, and it bonds you. Just like church, just like, like you said, working at that job. When I used to work at my old job with my co-host Megan, we would say we were like in the trenches, or even being in the trenches, literally in the military. That's a shared experience that bonds you. So how do you create those bonds as an adult without those forced situations?
Well, I think that it happens when it happens.
In a cult, is that what you said?
I hope not. Oh my gosh, no. Oh,
not for Lord, you. No. Just saying, maybe that's why people join cults. They're like, they're looking to belong, and that's the new forced situation.
Listen, that's why people join gangs. That's why people join sororities and fraternities.
Yep. That's all of these things.
Listen, I don't. I have a lot of family. I'm gonna be. I have a lot of family, so I'm not. I'm not hurting for circles of friends.
No new friends for you.
I'm good with like, oh yeah, we can hang out. Yeah, I'll meet you at the bar. Cool. Yeah. I don't need to, memorize your family's situation. I don't need to listen. We don't need to get that deep. Let it happen organically. That's all I ask. Don't give me a quiz the next time I see you and be like, okay, so how many kids do I have? Okay. What's my husband's name? Okay. What is my best friend from 4th grade name? Like, don't give me a quiz, but if we can organically meet, and it typically happens when I least expect it, honestly. And working from home.
That is such a good point in what this year and in COVID, has really been. I know even my son, he was a virtual learner, and I was working at home. My husband was working at home. We were like, doing this, and he really struggled. Because he did not see any friends. We didn't let him go and hang out. He saw his friends on Zoom, and he was like this. He really spent no other time with kids his age. So I'm very interested in this school year, how kids will be impacted. You either decide you was like thriving or you were struggling, because if you think about kids who like literally went to school and were bullied and beat up, this was probably like, oh my gosh, thank God I'm at home. But then for kids who are at home who are bullied and beat up, it's like that, thing that you were running away from, or, people who are in domestic violence situations, they had 8 hours to be away, or people who, were struggling with home insecurity or food insecurity, they got meals at school. So what happened to all these people? Like, what is this going to mean for mental health specifically, or just people in the world? What are we going to be like? What what is this going to look like since we spend so much time at home, depending on what your home life was?
Well, Atlanta has been outside since the pandemic started.
Okay, all right, podcast. Thank you so much. You ain't never lied.
I'm just saying,
you ain't never lied.
Atlanta and Houston, I don't know if y'all were battling it out or what, but
I have nothing to say.
Y'all were in the house overnight, and then was like the next day, okay, we're done. We're over this. We're not staying. What? Like
I personally was in the house. I went out to eat for the first time, like last weekend, for the first time since March. And then from March till about May of 2020, I actually cooked everything at home because there was so many unknowns about is it on food? Can you eat out?
Right.
So I cooked straight at home, and it was so fun. I made so many recipes. I lost so much weight. And then someone was like, yeah, you can eat out. And then I gained so much weight and I ate so much food. And
it just went back around. It's like, oh, no, okay. we're the other way now.
All the salt, all the damn salt. But no, seriously though, but like, I think Atlanta, look, I have never been more disappointed in like political figures. We have people out here who just do not have a medical back. I can't do math and science. I'm not going to act like I can. So neither should you. So I think this, honestly, in the year of COVID or like that time period, that was even more like, I have got to be loyal to me. I have to set my boundaries. It is me and my family, and we got, like, literally. Like, friends are cool. I saw myself distancing from so many friendships that were based on going to the bar and just hanging out. And I was like, these people didn't call me. I didn't see them anymore. Yeah. We weren't friends. We weren't really friends for that. As we were growing in this new time frame, like you said, and shedding, those relationships shed. And then some thrive. Some people in my life that, were on the cusp or like in my inner circle now and in my fold. But yeah, I totally like agree with what you're saying in regard. But as far as Atlanta, I don't know. We ain't never had no mask mandate in Georgia.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, do y'all even know what a mask is? Like,
I do, child. I do, and I double mask everywhere I go. And vaccinated. The county I live in was so. It was the same thing. It's like the more you moved out from Metro Atlanta, the worse the vaccination rates were. And it was like, come on, y'all, herd immunity. And now I'm just now getting out. Like, okay, I feel comfortable. I'll go out to eat, and they're like Delta, and I'm like, oh, Delta going variant. Back in the house. Going back in the house. They go back inside. So.
That as an extrovert, it's really hard for me to stay in the house, but being an extrovert and then going through the whole pandemic mostly alone has like really showed me that I can show up as myself and not have to put on to be accepted. So that's one thing that I've appreciated about the pandemic, and just like the stay-at-home orders where I am, because we do observe those here.
Are you currently under a stay-at-home order?
No, we're not currently under stay-at-home order. They haven't started shutting things down yet, but I know it's probably coming. They just started telling us to wear masks again inside. So whether vaccinated or not, because they were going to allow us to self-police, and then was like, Delta variant. No,
y'all can't do it.
No, no. Yeah. So it's, in keeping, staying loyal to yourself, respecting yourself, loving yourself. It's been important for me to show up as myself so that I'm not always I got it, I can fix it. I don't have to be Bob the Builder. I don't have to, to be anything else other than who I am. And when I'm that person, and I'm just me, it helps me to be less stressed, be less anxious, be less depressed, and not, worry as much about, what if they don't like it? And what if I don't get invited to the next thing? Or if I'm not here, there, everywhere, whatever. Like, I don't really put in that much thought to worry about what's happening going forward. It's just like, no, I like being who this person is right now. And I reserve the right to change my mind. I could say that I like red beans and rice today, but if I don't like red beans and rice tomorrow, like, I have the right to change my mind.
Reserve the right. Yes.
Yeah. And so
I love that.
As a person, as a human being, I reserve the right to change my mind about what I like, what I don't like, what I want, what I don't want. And that's one thing that I'm really loving about who I am. And I had this thought of, is it that we are becoming something else, or getting deeper into reconnecting with who we were to begin with?
That's a really good question. I guess for me personally, I don't know myself very well. So, I mean, I remember my therapist was like, okay, go back and talk to your mom and be like, what were you like growing up? And I was like, what was I like? And she was like, I don't know. I was like, well, what did we do? She's like, I mean, nothing really. I mean, you played sports, then you played some more sports, and then you played some more sports. So, and for me, I just like that was the thing that I like really adapted to. So I don't really have sports anymore. I don't really play. So like that's what I've kind of like pushed and poured into my child, and seeing him play different sports. But I'm also like, we don't, if you don't want to play, you don't have to play. So I don't know. I would say that it would be, I don't really know if I'm reconnecting with a like former self as much as I'm just trying to like be authentic, like you're saying, like just being who I am and feeling okay with being who I am. Because, even in, the pandemic too, I think we all got to reserve the right, like you said, to be like, you know what, today I'm going to show up with a nice top and pajama bottoms. I'm gonna answer 3 phone calls, and that's enough. And I remember being so like on the brink of just like defeat, being like, how am I gonna keep up? I'm trying to keep my kid in school. I'm trying to clean the house. Everybody's eating everything. I'm trying to keep everything clean.
Why are you still in the refrigerator? You just ate.
Get out. You like my son will eat like 5 muffins in a day. I'm like, what are you doing? Why did you eat all the muffins? I can't. Like, just so stressed. But I think like one of the things my mentor told me, if people don't have a mentor, go get a mentor. Like
absolutely, yes.
Whatever field you're in, whatever you want to do, personal, spiritual, somebody, get a mentor. But my mentor was like, girl, everybody's showing up at 50% capacity, and that's okay. And I just had to learn that my 50% was okay, especially in those times and like everything that we've been given. So I'm trying to learn that 75% is okay. Or, I mean, I'm not like a trash person and not doing my job, but
28%. Sure. I woke up, my teeth were brushed, but I didn't have any pants on. So I was there.
You know what? We put the pants on, we got to work, but I realized that my 75 is somebody else's like 150. So I'm trying to like navigate those things.
That's where I think the line is, where we have to understand that while we operate on different gauges, we have different gauges for what we do versus what somebody else does. It's more important that, as opposed to anybody else, that we give ourselves the permission to just be like, okay, if you try to go to 80%, you are going to hurt somebody.
Right.
So let's back it down to 60. Let's back it down to 60. Show up, do what needs to be done, and then go home.
Yeah.
Do what needs to be done, go to the park. Like, I have something really outside.
Gotten good at like, when it's 5, I have to get off the phone. Like, I'm so bad. I am so terrible, because they give me a county phone and I'm like, great. Well, that means, if you give me a work phone, then that means that you want me to work when it rings. And the last job I was at, I was working so late and missing so much time. And that in corporate America, for sure. I mean, the hours are insane. And I was missing things. I was missing events at my son's school. I was missing time with my family. And I was like, I don't want to live like this. So I think in COVID, to be honest, like coming back into work and being mandated to like come back into the office, I was like, oh, no, I'm not doing this like, 7 to 7 almost job and not seeing my family and not seeing my kids. So like that was one of the things that brought us so close, was just being at home together and like everyone's safe in this little bubble. And so now with the kids going back to school, I'm back in the office. My husband ended up never going back to his job. He just
nice.
Yeah, he never went. He started his own business and was like, "Oh, not doing that ever again." My husband has been thriving. He is such an introvert. He loved it. He was like, "Stay at home." Yes, sign me up. I mean, don't get sick, everyone. But yeah, he loved it. He was like, "This is great. I'm never going back into an office," and he never did.
Look, I wish I had that personality, but I need to be around people. I need to be. I mean, as much as I say that I don't like people, I like people, but like from a distance. So
yeah,
it's really tough to, especially in these times, but I think that this is the year of, so what we not gonna do? that is what, because our department has like my company is unless the Delta variant runs more rampant than what it is now, we're slating to go back to the office. And I have already stated multiple times that I don't trust y'all. Like I don't trust the employees in the office, because
girl, I'm back in the office full time. Don't do it. They're not even vaccinated.
But here's the thing though, right? These are the same people who would show up to work with the flu. And then because of my asthma, I would mess around and get pneumonia. So no, I do not trust.
Breathe. I'm in this go home with a cold,
off the flu, nothing. Y'all come to work and be like, I had to come.
But that I think as a culture in this society is like a badge of honor. It was a badge of honor to go to work sick. It made you a better employee. You were better. They think in their minds like, oh, I had to come to work. Look at me. I'm toughing it out. Look at me. I'm fighting through it. And in this society right now, we like, girl, if you don't take your ass home. Right. I know I try and do it, but I'm in the same boat. I have asthma. People would come to work. I had this guy who worked with me, and he would come to work sick all the time. And I'd be like, I'll cover for you. Just go home. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. He came home early. He came back to work early. I had a flu shot, and 3 people in my office were down with the flu all winter. And I ended up getting sick, but not the flu. And he was like, well, I'm good, because he just didn't wait like an extra day or extra 2 days to make sure that he wasn't like passing it around. Right. In COVID, he actually found another job. I'm not kidding you. It was like a blessing in disguise. I'm telling you. Telling you.
Yes, thank you.
He did not wash his hands. He always sniffed up snot. He did not blow his nose. It was disgusting. I feel like
we had the same coworker. Because except my coworker would walk around and out, because I would get so pissed.
Same employee.
Oh my gosh. And he would come by with Lysol and spray. I said, I don't know what you don't understand, but let me tell you something. If you spray Lysol one more time and I have to go to the hospital, you're paying for it. And he was just like, well, Leah, I was just making sure. I don't care.
Oh, it's definitely not the same coworker, because mine didn't know what hand sanitizer spray. I have had hand sanitizer in my car for years before COVID. Like going to the grocery store or being out and about, I'd always come back to my car and like hand sanitize, because it's like I went out and touched a bunch of stuff. I had like, so when people were like fighting over sprays and wipes, I was like, I got a whole cabinet in here, because I've been on top of that for a minute. So
all that panic buying, y'all can have that. I don't understand. I never understood it.
Look,
I need to get it together.
I was just like, I had some of this. My mom did spend a lot of money on Amazon to buy me hand sanitizer. But we have asthma, and right before COVID, actually in February of 2020, my son's asthma was terrible to the point where I could not manage it. And I'm pretty good with asthma. Like I know what to do, and emergency inhalers, nothing was working. We had to do nebulizer treatments. It wasn't working. I mean, they were like, he was sick. So that was a wake-up call for us. And especially that was February of 2020. So, when COVID came, it was like, nah, he was almost hospitalized with a common cold. I don't want none of this COVID. Yep. I don't want to see it. I don't want any of it. I'm not trying to play those games. A couple of my coworkers had COVID. Like it just, I just think this whole, it's changed. The world has changed. And
absolutely.
The question is like, have you changed in a way that's better, that benefits yourself and others in a way that's positive to this world that we're in? You got to self-reflect and figure that out. And if the answer is no, you got to go out there and figure out what is going to do that for you.
And if you don't, you run the risk of living a life that you've lived for other people. You end up on your deathbed or reflecting one day and realizing that you're just not enjoying it. Yeah. And I would hate to wake up one day and realize that I'm living a life that I've regretted.
Yeah.
Or that I have there's nothing that I'm doing in this time that I'm just like, I get to do this, or this is exciting to me. And so even now when we're coming into this new era of, taking care of yourself, mental health, and recognizing yourself as being more than just your title, being a human being and stepping forward into who you are and growing in self-awareness, we have to understand what we need, what we want, and how we want to show up. Whether you want to show up as a clown or whether you want to show up as a go-getter or whatever it is, just make sure that it's authentically you.
Yeah. I think that is perfect. Me and my husband have this thing where we sit down with each other just randomly and we'll say like, if you died tomorrow, what would be the biggest regret? And of course, like before we got married, it was like that we aren't married. So that we knew that was the next step. So it's like, okay, well, we'd be like, okay, what do you think, if you died today, what would be your biggest regret? That we weren't married. So let's work on that. Then it was like that we don't have a house that's ours, that we aren't like renters, that we have something to call our own, that we have something to give. We're just constantly talking about like generational wealth. He's like, I want to build this business so that my son has a business. Like we're just trying, how do we get there? How do we give generational wealth, especially as Black people? It's like someone, right. In my family, I don't know about everyone else's, but someone passes away and you're like, okay, I've accumulated a little of their debt. They probably didn't have any health insurance. I mean, there's just not this like thing of like daddy, $Warbucks, pass me down, a trust fund. So we're working on that. So that's what we just kind of do is like a checker, for us is like, hey, so what would you regret today? What would you regret today? And then just going out there and being like, well, that obviously is our next goal, because I don't want to leave this earth with regrets. I don't want to leave this earth, working for someone else and helping them achieve their goals. Because when we work for other people, we're helping them achieve their goals. So if we can spend 8 to 10 hours a day helping someone achieve their goals, why can't we spend 8 to 10 minutes, make sure that we're like helping ourselves achieve ours?
I agree. And this has been such a great conversation. I truly, truly have appreciated it.
I've been waiting forever, and I got the invite and I was like, I've made it. We're gonna talk. Cause like, I mean, every time I'm like watching the clips and I'm like, yes. Like it's just so you have such great conversations on this pod. So I'm so excited to like come and hang out, and we can change from internet friends to like, platform, recording platform friends.
We're absolutely platform friends. It's really cool. It's so cool.
Yes. Thank you.
Can you tell people where they can find you? Go ahead and plug any and everything you got going on.
So you can find us on social media, all the socials at Crime and Roses. We release Bachelor episodes between like Tuesday and Wednesday for the recaps, which The Bachelor has just been nonstop. We literally went from like The Bachelor to The Bachelorette to like Listen to Your Heart, then to more Bachelor. Bachelor in Paradise is starting in a couple weeks. Then we'll have another Bachelorette. She's from Minnesota and she's Black, so I'm super excited. And then we, you know, put the true crime out usually on Thursdays as well. So we're on all sorts, whatever is your podcatcher, you can find us at Crime and Roses, and, you know, join us on Instagram. It's fun. We DM a lot.
Absolutely. Make sure y'all go check out Danielle. Make sure you support the podcast. Absolutely. They have some great stuff. It is amazing. And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. We will be live this week. I'm sure it'll probably be Thursday or Friday, but I will just make sure y'all follow on social media at Take a Space POD on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we'll let you know for sure what day we'll be going live. We'll talk to you later. Have a great one.